Before this video begin, I want to congrats Kosnik, who won the giveaway organized by Ninja in the first big project video. The link will be in the description, so congrats. So get in touch with Ninja to get your reward, but he's probably gonna contact you soon. Hello everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new review concerning the T110E3, and it's due to the big project. For those of you who didn't follow or maybe you didn't see the trailer, it's some reviews of tanks, but from each nations. We're gonna go nations per nations for tier 10s, and you're gonna be able to get a full review of all the tier 10 tanks in not so much time, because I think there is one review per channel. There is actually Ninja working on it, there is me, there is Soft Rescue, there is Every, and I think I did not forget anybody. I think that's it. But yeah, it's cool because you will be able to get some tier 10 reviews quickly, and also it will help some smaller channels to get discovered, at least I hope. So yeah, that's why I participated in this project, and I hope it will reach what we expect of it. Now, concerning the T110E3, the tank I am supposed to review, there are several things you need to know. It's the tier 10 heavy tank, tier 10 tank destroyer, sorry, from the American tech tree, and there are a couple of things that are amazing about this tank, and also some of them that are quite upsetting. So first thing first, let's talk about the armor. That's the most armored tank in the goddamn game at tier 10. You don't have more armor than on this thing, but even if you're quite armored, you still have weak spots. Two of them to be specific. Now we could talk about three of them, but I'm not going to talk about the gold penetrating one because it's not really a weak spot. As long as you have to shoot gold at something to get the weak spot, you can consider it to be a weak spot. So concerning the main weak spot, of course that's the lower part of the hull, and really be careful about that because your ammunition rack is located on each side of the lower plate. Therefore you're gonna be ammo racked quite often if you don't take care of that. That's the first thing. Even if it's a weak spot, it's still quite hard. Sometimes you're gonna, if you have a bad RNG in terms of penetration, you're gonna bounce. Therefore, it makes it one of the strongest tank at tier 10 in terms of armor. Now, concerning the turret, it's impossible to penetrate except if you have no shooting with gold shells and having calibrated shells. If you don't have this, nobody's gonna go through this area. You have a huge gun mantlet, which is impenetrable even with gold shells and calibrated shells equipment. Therefore, strong as hell. Maybe one quick weak spot, this area here. This area, if you manage to penetrate it and it's not armored at all, you can go through that with HE. If you manage to do that, you're going to be able to penetrate the T110E3 for 1000 damage if you're playing, for example, with an E100, and that's going to be easy for you to get it. But you need an extremely good accuracy, or maybe being face hugged to the tank. If you're face hugging and you can shoot this area, go for it because it's not armored at all. That's the second thing. Maybe now we can talk about the cupola. So the cupola on the T110E3 is clearly not the one you have on the T110E4. With the T110E4, tier 9s, tier 10s, everybody's going to go through it. But on the T110E3, it was armored a little bit more, making it one of the hardest to penetrate. Even some tanks destroyers with regular shells at tier 10 will not go through, knowing they have more than 310 millimeters of penetration. That's a lot of armor. But as soon as someone is trying to shoot this area with gold shells at tier 10 for tank, I'm only talking about tank destroyers here. Only tank destroyers will be able to get through this, or maybe tanks having more than 330 average penetration, for example E100 with gold or IS-4 with gold, will be able to get through the cupola. And not all the cupola. If you want to penetrate the cupola, you need to shoot right there. Here, if you shoot here, you're gonna bounce. You need to shoot below the machine gun. That's really important to be able to penetrate. Now, one last thing concerning the armor. I'm sorry it's going to take a long time on the armor because it's extremely important to know how the armor of the T110E3 works, because that's exactly what makes it effective. Concerning the last weak spot, it's quite easy. As soon as you take some height on the tank, you're going to see this area here, and this little thing is extremely easy to penetrate. So really, with the T110E3, be careful about that. Don't go somewhere where people will be able, or are going to be able to shoot at you from such an angle, for example here, because this area here is automatic penetration. Really be careful about that. So yeah, that's pretty much for the armor. Concerning the rest, with this tank you don't want to angle it, not even like this, not like this. Truly you stay in front of your opponents, because if you angle it just a little bit, your sides are extremely weak, and even if you're like this, if someone shots here, they are going to penetrate your tank, so be careful about that. Concerning the rest of the armor, here it sucks, and at the rear everybody's going to go through with HE shells, so be careful. With this tank you stay straight in front of your opponents, you hide your lower plate and your setup. Maybe you can wiggle just a little bit to make it harder to penetrate your cupola for people shooting goals, but that's all. Now, concerning the rest, concerning the gun, really a great gun, great DPM, great reload time, 13.1 seconds for 640, that's better than T110E3, of course, because you don't have a turret. You have a good penetration values, 295 with armor piercing, 375 with APCRs, and 90 with HEs. Clearly, that's gonna do the trick. You have a good gun depression, good gun elevation, everything is fine. And concerning the engine, you're extremely slow and extremely weak to mediums and light tanks because you can't turn fast. Really be careful about that. It's impossible for you to turn fast. Yeah, that's pretty much that's it for this tank. Concerning the provisions I'm using, I'm going for a case of cola, improved fuel, and protective kit. Improved fuel is to increase my traverse speed, because clearly you lack a lot of that. Protective kit, I always put it because I don't like my crew or modules being damaged twice in a game, so if I go for this one I will have less injured modules or crew. Now a case of cola, of course, that's the small provision, the big provision, sorry, because clearly when you go for that you will increase all your characteristics, and that's exactly what we want. Now concerning the ammunition, maybe I can show you. I'm only using 3 HEs because, as you can see, the tank doesn't carry a lot of ammunitions, so I had to make choice. Maybe I could even go for a 15 and 4 here. Maybe that's better. You know what, that's better. I have half my magazine composed of regular APs, half of them being APCRs, and a third being the HEs. Now concerning the equipment, I go for the combat power gun rammer, so I take the gun rammer because clearly calibrated shell are useless on a tank like this. After, I go for the enhanced gun laying drive to be sure to penetrate my targets, and I don't need faster shells. And for the last one, I'm not going for the refined gun, just because with this tank you have the time to aim at your targets. I would rather, I mean, you're not gonna snapshot. When I take refined gun, it's more for snapshotting, and with this one you're not gonna snapshot because you're slow. That's why I go for the vertical stabilizer. Now concerning the vitality, you're not gonna ram anybody, and if anyone tries to ram you, they are gonna hurt themselves, so you don't need to go for the ram equipment, you go for the defense system instead. After, for the enhanced armor, I go for this one and not the improved assembly, because that's the most armored tanks in the game, and 4% is gonna make a difference on both the cupola here, that is gonna increase, so you're gonna increase your chances of people bouncing, but also because it makes the weak spot even harder to penetrate, and it was hard in the first place. That's why I'm using the enhanced gun armor. Now finally, toolbox, because clearly everybody's gonna try to destroy your tracks, so you need to repair them as soon as possible to avoid being circled, etc. After, I go for improved optics. You can go for the camo net, it's working as well, but I'm playing it extremely aggressively because I have armor. Even if it's not the fastest tank, I'm still playing it like it's supposed to be, I mean, a frontline bunker. That's why I go for the improved optics, because I'm gonna spot for myself. Now concerning the improved control, I go for this one and not the engine accelerator, because I need to get that traverse speed done, because if you don't do that, clearly you're gonna be circled so easily. I mean, even with this equipment, it's gonna be easy for people to circle you, so just imagine without it. And now for the last one, I go for the high-end consumables, because I think you reload pretty fast with this one. You can put 2 shots with adrenaline before it's dropping out, so that's why I went for the high-end consumables. But you can also use the consumable delivery system if you're not sure either you wanna shoot more or be able to use it once again, one more time in the battlefield. So that was for the characteristics. I know it was a bit long, but that's a tough subject, the T110E3, because you have 2 schools, people hating on it because of the mobility and people loving it for the armor. Now that we talked about the tank in the garage, let's see how the tank performs in replays. Now, concerning the replay, you're gonna see I'm gonna try to take a really aggressive position at the beginning, but the speed and the mobility is gonna troll me. Look at this. Most of the tank destroyers at this tier can go easily and climb this hill like it's nothing. And here, oh boy, is it a struggle with the E3. I already locked myself, so I'm like, well, Do I need to change my position? Clearly, yes I do. So I'm gonna try from a different angle, and I think it was not gonna go for it, but the T110E3 gives us a little push, thank you by the way for that, which allows us to take our position. Now, I'm gonna wait here just a little bit to be able to see if I can spot something, maybe try, even if I don't spot it, I see that the mouse is coming, so I'm like, hey, before jumping in, maybe I should try to support the mouse, but I see that everybody is staying in the back. If the IS-7, which is one of the fastest EV at tier 10, is still in the back, it means that nobody tried to cross. If nobody tried to cross, I don't need to stay there. If I don't need to stay there, I'm gonna push. That's exactly what I had in mind when I did this move, and that's why I went straight in the town. And here you're gonna see probably two of the biggest mistakes I did in this game. I see the Progetto 65 and I see he's on the side, so I'm like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna try some HE shells, because if it goes through, that's gonna be extremely effective, and I'm gonna go for 1k damage. I miss my first one, I'm popping adrenaline, hoping for the second one to go in. The Progetto is trying to hide, but nobody can hide from me. Unfortunately, once again, I missed my HE. I was clearly too far away from the Progetto, and I was greedy for damage. That's why I didn't go in, because instead of doing probably 1.2k damage here, I only did 600. But you know what, I'm like, hey, I need to close the distance to be able to compete with them. I go for a first shot on the 268, I go in the back, and boom, I have the support from my T110E3 from the beginning. He helps me getting on the hill, he helps me not getting shot by the 268. Really an amazing teammates I got there, and I forgot to put him a thumbs up. I should have done that, but yeah, too late now. Now, I see that the path is clear. I know there is the i7 on one side, and there is the E100 on the other side. I'm thinking, hey, where should I go for? I mean for the shot, and unfortunately I missed. I should have gone for an APCR straight in his turret cheeks. That would have been maybe allow me to get one more shot before him reloading. Now I'm gonna try to take some advance on the E100. Why do I do that? Because I already told you, your weak spot is the lower part of the hull. As long as you're not now, let me turn it differently. As long as you don't allow your enemy to see the lower part of your hull, you're gonna be quite strong. And here, that's exactly what is happening. Look at the E100, he's terrified. He's jumping back, he's trying to penetrate, he tries with everything, he goes for HE, etc, etc. But you can't penetrate me. It's impossible, not from this angle. I'm not angled enough for the top part to be penetrated easily. And even if he goes for gold shells, he's gonna struggle. For the moment, I see that there is also the Sheridan coming my way. Unfortunately, I told you that's your weakness. You can't do shit when light tanks are gonna try something against you, especially if you're on an open field like I was. So here, clearly, that was a mess. We managed still to get rid of the E100. I go for a shot on the Progetto because I clearly don't want him to circle me as well. Now I'm turning on the Sheridan. I'm hoping for him to poke out. I should have gone maybe for an HE shell, but as the Sheridan is clearly made of spaced armor, I would have probably bounced, so I went for a regular shell instead. Great luck here, really great luck that he managed to just not bounce me, but he went for an HE. If he went for an AP, I would have been probably dead by now. But he missed, and my allies managed to carry on by killing the guy. Now that I'm free, I can talk about the weaknesses of the tank. Here, for example, I was on an open field. I still had support from the back, but if I didn't have this support, I would have probably been dead. That's because the T110E3 had my back that I didn't die, and I really want to thank him for that. And yeah, that's the main problem of this tank. Once you're alone, it's either you are in a position that doesn't allow your enemies to circle you, or else you're fucked. And that's probably the main weakness of the tank. But just imagine if you manage to get in matchmaking where nobody can circle you, you're just the king of the jungle, because nobody can penetrate the upper part of your tank as long as they are not running either calibrated shell or gold shells for tank destroyers. And that's how you manage to, by playing aggressively, getting an ace tanker in the T110E3. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you want to go further concerning reviews, you're gonna be able to join Every Good Name is Taken, Soft Rescue, and also Ninja's channel, because all of these YouTubers are gonna do reviews of the tier 10 in the upcoming days. So really, if you want to stay tuned, go and subscribe to them. I'm gonna leave you here. Hope you enjoyed. Pantoufleee over.